Okay, good afternoon. I don't even know what day it is today. It's Saturday, the 16th. Okay, so I have been trying to film this all week and I keep getting interrupted. So I wrote down some notes and I'm going to go ahead and talk about the accident that I had in 2017 that pretty much changed my life. So, excuse me, it was June and I was working for an auto parts store. I was delivering parts. It was at the end of June and I had pretty much finished my shift. I was waiting for my then boyfriend to get to the store so that he could pick me up and we could go home. And then there was another delivery that wasn't too far away. It was like 2 or 3 blocks away. And it just came in. There wasn't, there was a few other deliveries, but they were to like further places and there was a lot more. And those were going to be for the next delivery driver that was going to be scheduled. So I volunteered for that one since I was waiting on my then boyfriend because he was running late as per usual. So I volunteered and I went and delivered it, and I pulled out of their driveway, or out of their parking area, and drove forward to the to the stoplight where I was going to turn right to go back to the store. This was like a little side street. And I looked at the mileage I was driving, and I looked at the mileage and I said, oh, it said like 13 something or 11. I don't know. It was special numbers that were specific to me. And I grabbed my phone. The light was red. I would grab my phone, took a picture of that, put my phone back down, and my light changed, and I turned. I stopped behind a little Corsica that was behind me, or in front of me. A Corsica was in front of me and I stopped behind it. The light was red and we were waiting, and while we were waiting, something caught my eye catty corner at the gas station. That was a gas station that I went to refill the gas tank on the company vehicles whenever it was running low. And something caught my eye over there, and I don't even know what it was, but I was looking in that direction just under the rear view mirror, and all of a sudden, I don't even think I had the radio. I might have had the radio on, but it wasn't loud. Next thing I know, I'm in the air, and I'm getting like, I'm in the air for a split second, and I'm yanked back down by the pulling of the seatbelt, but it felt like slow motion. Like I literally felt like I was floating in space, and then just suddenly like getting yanked back, like if the seatbelt was loose and then all of a sudden it yanked me back. But I know it was just time slow down. My shoe flew off, my right shoe flew off, my glasses flew off, my hat flew off. One of the pins that was on the lanyard around my neck flew off of its cap. And I remember with my right foot jamming my foot into the brake as hard as I could. but I kept feeling like more impacts. And what I've come to assume is that those extra impacts that I was feeling was her continuing to push on the gas instead of the brake. I believe that's what the police report said, is that she pushed the gas instead of the brake, and that's what it felt like to me. Initially, I thought that I was like at the end of a ricochet of an accident that had happened, and that all those impacts were subsequent vehicles crashing into the lady that crashed into me, that pushed me into the Corsica. That was like my immediate thought. And I'm slammed back into the seat. I'm still holding onto the steering wheel. I'm still jamming my foot into the brake. My socked foot, because my shoe flew off. So it was just my sock and my foot. And then I'm gripping the steering wheel, and these two girls come out of the Corsica, and they're like cussing and yelling at me, and what the fuck is your problem, and why did you fucking hit us, you fucking bitch, blah blah blah, and saying all kinds of stuff. And you know, I'm just like, I'm sorry, it wasn't me, I got hit. And they like looked around like this, they looked around the thing, and and they saw what had happened, and they said, oh shit. Like, I read their lips at that point, and they said oh shit, and because they weren't yelling anymore. So they weren't yelling anymore, and they said oh shit, and they jumped back in and peeled off around the corner. I stayed where I was. I don't remember the next part, and I don't remember who I called first. If it was the store manager, if it was 911, or if it was if it was the store manager or if it was 911. I don't remember who I called first. But I tried calling the store manager twice, and he didn't answer. And then I called the store, and they answered after a while. And I don't want to say anybody's names. One of the assistant managers answered the phone, and I said, hey man, I've been in an accident. I got hit from behind. I don't know what to do. What do I do? And I think he said call 911, but I think I might have at that point. I don't remember. He said just stay there. I'll be right there. And he asked me if I had called the store manager. I almost said his name. If I had called him, and I said yeah, but he didn't answer. I do remember that part. I remember because I called him twice and he didn't answer. I called his personal cell phone, and there was no answer. The fire truck got there, and I was still sitting in the vehicle, unsure of what to do. Oh, I forgot the most important part. Before the two girls jumped out of the Corsica, I looked up in the rearview mirror, and all I could see was like a little section of forehead, and then like these big black glasses, and like little tufts of gray and white hair, or gray and gray and light brown hair, or like gray and blonde. I don't remember. And I said, what? And I was confused. I said, what is that? And like, there was no driver in the car behind me. All I could see was glasses. I don't know. I was in shock, I think. So then the fire truck got there. They asked me if I felt like anything was broken, and I said, I don't think so. They said, do you have any pain anywhere? And I said, I don't think I do. I'm in shock at this point. So they said, can you move the vehicle? The police got there too at some point, but I don't remember when. They asked me if I could move the vehicle, and I said, I think so. I think it turns on. It's just, I don't know. I think I can move it. And I moved it to the parking lot that was like right there next to where I had been hit. And the elderly woman was helped out of her. Oh, it was an elderly woman that was 80 years old that was driving that hit me. And her passenger was helping her out of the vehicle, and when she went around the bumper to get into the passenger side of her vehicle, or I don't even know if it was her vehicle, but to go get in the passenger side, I saw that she had severe edema in her legs. And quite honestly, I don't think she should have been driving with the edema. The size of her legs was just, oh, it looked painful. My legs swell, but I don't know. She had those compression socks and everything, but I don't know, she shouldn't have been driving. Okay, so then I did the police report. The store manager, finally, somebody got a hold of him and told him what happened. He went to the store and got the camera, a disposable camera that was like in some accident report kit or something like that. And then, we got the police report. He took pictures of the damage of the vehicle. Everybody was asking me if I was okay. I felt okay in the moment, but I think, I'm pretty sure it was shock. I drove the vehicle back to the store. Yeah, I just now remembered what vehicle I was driving and what vehicle the woman was driving. I was driving a 2-door version of the 4-door that she had. A little hatchback. No, it had 4 doors, but it was a little hatchback. So did the police report, drove back to the store. By then, my boyfriend, at the time boyfriend, was there. And he was concerned. Are you okay? Does anything hurt? Are you scared? Were you nervous? Are you nervous? You know, he was checking and asking how I was and how I was doing and how I felt and stuff. And making sure I was okay. To make a long sentence short. I was still in shock. My hands were shaking, but I didn't feel scared. And my heart was like pumping and racing. And then we went home. And then I didn't work for another couple of days. And I don't know how long it was, but it just kept hurting more and more and more and more. And it finally got to the point that I couldn't take the pain anymore, and I went to an urgent care. And I took the doctor note to the store manager, and he told me, oh, you went to the wrong place. You shouldn't have went to the urgent care. You need to go to the auto parts store's insurance, doctors, workers' comp place. And I said, oh, I didn't know. And then I started going there. I had so many MRIs done. At that point, I had lingering whiplash, bursitis in my hip, bulging discs in my lower back and neck. I've got also a like a hook of extra bone that grew in my cervical spine somewhere. I don't remember exactly where, but it's not supposed to be there, but it's like extra, like a little hook of extra bone. And I started having to call into work more and more and more, and I was losing hours, obviously. Prior to that, I volunteered for whatever shift. If one of the guys wanted to go drinking that night and they were scheduled, I would, you know, say, I'll take your shift, you know, I need any hours I can get. At one point, I was working full-time hours because I volunteered so much. And I was, the store manager had talked to me about making me a full-time driver, and the commercial account manager had talked to me about taking over the department whenever he left the store. He wanted me to be the commercial accounts manager, and the store manager wanted me to be a full-time driver. Didn't work out like that. I started missing more and more work, and then they had doctor's notes. Every time I had a new doctor note, I would take it to them because I kept having evaluations of what I could and couldn't do. I was having physical therapy, and they were evaluating me throughout that process. I went to a chiropractor that messed me up more. I went to see him twice. The first time, I felt great afterwards. He popped my neck, he popped my back, but the second time, he wanted to pop more stuff, and he tried to pop my hip, the right side, the one that's got the bursitis in it. And he pushed, and it didn't pop. And I said, that hurt. That really hurt. And he said, oh, let me just, I'll get it this next time. I'll get it this next time. He went again, and it didn't pop. It didn't pop. And it hurt so bad, and I walked out of there in more pain. So I said, no more chiropractors. He messed me up. I ended up, because I was getting less hours, trying to cross my leg. Because I was getting less hours, any money that I had saved up, was slowly being dwindled, and then it got to the point where I couldn't pay rent anymore. And my, at the time, boyfriend was living with me, and he would contribute every once in a while when it looked like I wasn't, going to be able to make the rent. Like if I needed another $200, he would come up with the $200. But yeah, no. I wanted him to get a job. I wanted him to get a driver's license. I wanted him to sign a lease with me. But he didn't do any of that. So lost a place to live because of, I had to write down notes because I've tried to record this many times and I keep losing my train of thought. Okay. Oh yeah. So we lost a place to live, and my kids were spending the summer down here in New Mexico. with my grandparents with their grandparents and their father. And they were down here when I had the accident. And then we lost the place to live because I couldn't pay anymore. And then we had to move to Denver because a friend of my then boyfriend offered us his place to stay. And I drove back from Denver to Colorado Springs for 2 part-time shifts that I couldn't even do. I walked into one of those shifts with a walker, and I had a seat at the cash register, and I was just supposed to be at the cash register, but we were shorthanded, and I climbed a ladder to get a part down, and I shouldn't have done that because I just hurt myself more. And then after that, we were living in Denver, and I evidently missed 2 Sunday shifts that I didn't know I was scheduled for, and then I was subsequently fired. But the thing about that was that the store manager didn't tell me that I was fired. He didn't call me, he didn't text me, nothing. One of the assistant managers actually told me via text that I was fired for missing 2 shifts that I didn't know I was scheduled for. I thought that was really unfair because, 1, I didn't know I was scheduled for those shifts. And 2, that store manager was always adjusting all of the other employees' times. There was one in particular that went in from 15 minutes to an hour late, and Mr. Manager would adjust his time clock and make it, or his time card, or his or the schedule. He would, if he like missed his whole shift and because he was hungover, he would fix the schedule and replace whoever came in for him. He would like swap days, times, whatever. So I'm assuming that mine was probably adjusted just in the other way. And they no-called, no-showed me for those 2 Sundays that I didn't know I was scheduled for, and I was fired. I also lost a vehicle. I had a little Maxima, and the alternator or something on it started going out on it. It kept draining the battery. And I tried replacing the battery, but then to take it to a body shop to have it looked at would have been so much money that I didn't have, and so I left it parked in the parking lot on the side of the building of the auto parts store that I worked at. And then it eventually got towed. I don't know where to, but it got towed. So I lost that vehicle. Oh, but I had purchased another vehicle from one of my coworkers. He sold me a 1990 Honda Accord wagon. It was I think it was the anniversary. It was either 89 or 90. It was the anniversary edition. I'm not that familiar with Honda, so pardon my lack of knowledge on the actual year. I think it was a 90. I don't have it anymore, I don't think. I think it was sold, or so the Maxima disappeared with like a lot of my belongings that was in it. And I was driving that 1990. I wasn't driving it. the boyfriend was driving it. I didn't know how to drive standard. And I couldn't drive anymore. I couldn't drive anyway at that point anymore either because of the accident that I had been in. And I was prescribed anti-anxiety medication also following the accident. And I also did facet injections in Colorado. They gave me they prescribed physical therapy, the chiropractor, the facet injections. The doctor in Denver completely knocked me out, put me to sleep. And he did them. The first time he did them, it worked for about a week. The second time he did them, it worked for about 2 days. And the third time he tried, it didn't work at all. He put me to sleep, completely to sleep every single time. This is important later. Okay. Okay, so we were staying with the friend in Denver, with the boyfriend's friend in Denver, and that man was something else. My boyfriend got in a fight with him, and I'm still not 100% sure on what the details of the fight were, why it started. I was asleep in the bedroom when it took place, and we had to leave that night. I was woken up. He went in the room and said, "Get up, let's go, we're leaving." And I said, "What's going on?" And he said, "We need to go right now." And I had just woken up. I'm in a daze. I don't know what's going on. I start packing all our stuff up, and we load up the vehicle, and we spent the night in the park. We took the kids to school the next day. And picked them up after that, and we spent that night in an alley behind a business establishment that he frequented quite a lot. And then after that, he found other friends that took us in for a month. We were living with the first friend for around 2 months. I signed up my kids for school in Denver, and we started taking them to school in Denver. And I was doing all the physical therapy, going to all the doctor's appointments, having all the procedures done, all the injections, the MRIs, the x-rays. I mean, I've had so much stuff done. And my kids were going to school. I was doing that. I didn't have a job anymore, but the workers' comp was still taking care of me, trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And continued the treatments. I kept going to the doctors and doing the physical therapy. From Denver, we moved to a city on the suburb outside. It was 22 miles away from the school. And we drove the kids every day down to school for a month. He kept getting tickets in Colorado Springs and Denver because he didn't have a driver's license, and he was driving my vehicles, or I don't know why he kept getting pulled over. I don't remember. What the reasons were. I think the tags expired on the Maxima, and he got pulled over for that. And then he didn't have a driver's license, and they gave him a ticket for both of that. And then there was another time, again, I think it was the license plate. He kept getting, I think another time he parked illegally. I paid that one, but all the rest of them he never took care of. And they turned into warrants eventually. And he got arrested in Denver because he got pulled over in Denver too. And he didn't have a license. They ran his name, and he had warrants in Colorado Springs. He was transported to Colorado Springs and then got that taken care of down there. And then we went back to Denver. I don't remember how that happened. So we stayed a month with this really amazing, nice couple. And eventually it got to the point where, you know, I finally got the hint from the universe that, you know, Colorado's not the place for you. You need to go home. So I finally gave up on trying to be in Colorado, and I came back here. The whole reason that I was fighting so hard to stay in Colorado was because I didn't want to be in the same state as my ex. He was physically and emotionally abusive to me. And when I first left him, I came to my parents' home. And I told him not to come here, not to. And he showed up drunk. And I said, he's persistent. I was afraid for my life, basically. And I was going to go to another city where I have an aunt and uncle and stay with them. But then I thought, no, that's only like an hour, 2 hours away. He's still going to be drunk. If he gets drunk enough and gets mad enough, that's still close enough for him to go drive over there. And I told somebody about this, and they said, oh, we'll come to Colorado. You can stay with me, blah, blah, blah. And then that started the Colorado journey. But that's another story for another story time. Okay, so I eventually moved back to New Mexico. And that was at the end of October 2017. So I was here from the end of October, November, December. I didn't start seeing this pain specialist until January of 2018. There was some kind of delay with the workers' comp, with the insurance. I was further away from them than I think they would have liked, because there was no. I think they had to go through like some kind of process of approval for the doctor, for the pain specialist that was here, in order for her to get paid. I don't know. I'm just talking. I don't understand how any of that stuff works, and I don't know if she was previously or if she wasn't. But it took a while for me to start seeing her. But before I started seeing her, at the end of December, I started having severe abdominal pain. I couldn't breathe, I couldn't move, I couldn't stand up straight. It hurt. I was walking bent over, holding my stomach. So they took me to the emergency room. My boyfriend took me to the emergency room. They did a CAT scan or an MRI. I don't remember which one it was that time. But they did a scan, and they discovered a 3 centimeter, I think it was 3.3 by 3.5 or 3.8 by 3.5 centimeter mass attached to my back abdominal wall. And they didn't know what it was right away. They scheduled me to have a biopsy done. And that whole time I'm just thinking, like, what is inside of me what is this mass that's growing in my stomach? I thought it was cancer. I was, you know, as bad as my health was, I was already thinking like the worst. I've always been like worst case scenario person. My mind automatically, I've had to reprogram my mind to not expect the worst. Oh yeah, this is where the anesthesia comes back in. So I have a history of, I had my wisdom teeth removed, and while they were removing them, I woke up as he was removing the last one. I couldn't alert them that I was feeling anything. And I felt him with the pliers grip the tooth, and it slipped out, and I had a tear going down my face. And I feel like the nurse alerted him because it was on this side and he was on this side. So the nurse was over here and he was here. I think she must have motioned to him or something, because I didn't, she said Dr. I don't want to say his name. He's not in practice anymore. But I even want to use, like, it's a common name, but I'm not going to say it. We'll call him Dr. Z. So Dr. Z, she said Dr. Z. And he paused. I felt him pause, grip the tooth again, yank it out, yank out the piece that he was trying to get. And I felt all of that. The crunching, the slipping, the clinking of the metal back on itself, him re-gripping my tooth, and the little shards inside of my gum. Oh my God, I felt it. I still remember. But yeah, I have a history of waking up too soon, and twilight sedation doesn't work on me. And I told the anesthesiologist when they were doing the biopsy that I have this history of waking up too soon and the twilight sedation not having an effect on me. And they did the twilight sedation. They gave me a regular dose, and I'm in the biopsy room. They had me hooked up like in an MRI machine, and they injected me with something. That made me feel like I was peeing on myself. I don't remember what it was, but it was weird. And then they started, you know, making these little incisions, because they were sticking these like little robotic thingy or arms, or I don't know what it was. But they made these little incisions like on my belly, in my belly button, on like a side, and then a third one down lower. And they put the instruments inside, and I flinched. And they said, "Did you feel that?" And I said, "Yes." And they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, here." And then they gave me more anesthesia. And back in they go. And I flinched again, and they said, "Did you feel that?" And I said, "Yes." They had to give me local anesthetic, 6 more shots of local anesthetic before they could finish. And when they punctured when they went to collect the biopsy from my, I call him Steve. From when they went to collect from Steve, they said, "Oh, it popped. It's just a bunch of liquid inside. It's just I'm pretty sure they're gonna say it's just a cyst." And that's what it was. It was just a cyst. When they popped it, it released the pressure, and the pain stopped. Uh, so I started seeing the pain specialist after that. So I had like this little cancer scare, and then I start seeing this new lady, pain specialist, and she does MRIs, and she does all her tests because she wants to her own records and stuff. And so I go and do that, and she said that she discovered something else. She discovered something else that I'm still seeing a doctor for, unrelated to the accident, unrelated to anything else. I see them again in December, but let's not go down that rabbit hole quite yet. Biopsy determined it's a cyst. But yeah, like I said, thinking you might have cancer, and not knowing what's going on with your body when you've already got so much going on. Ooh, why am I getting emotional? It's a lot to deal with. I couldn't, oh my God. I had to be carried to the bathroom because I couldn't get up and walk because my hip was hurting so bad. I couldn't even use a cane to do it. Somebody that, like me, that was so freaking independent but codependent at the same time. I was independent before I was codependent. I was doing things by myself. I was a single mom, you know, a supervisor of a department in a retail chain. I had goals and I had dreams before I got with that man. That'll have to be another story time. I'm talking about my health right now. Okay, so I had to get carried to the bathroom a couple of times. Obviously, I couldn't do laundry. I couldn't cook. I couldn't clean. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even take a shower. I went days without bathing. I eventually got a shower chair. I was eventually prescribed a walker because I was clumsy, and I fell so many times. I have pictures of my knees just being so bruised up. Tripping on my own feet, tripping on air, tripping on nothing. My hip giving out, almost giving out at the store, but luckily I was holding on to the freaking shopping cart. I got to a point where I couldn't even go to the store. I wasn't going to the store for like a year. Probably even longer. I didn't go to the store. I didn't leave the house. I was in a deep, deep, deep depression. I was sleeping like 20 hours a day sometimes. Just in constant pain. Constantly tossing and turning. No energy. Oh, I am rambling when I should be talking about, okay, so December was the cancer scare. January, I started seeing the new pain specialist. She ordered all the MRIs and all the tests and everything. February, she did the first set of Facet injections. And I told her that I have my history with anesthesia. And she said, oh, I'm sure you'll be fine. And I told the anesthesiologist about the biopsy that I had done and how that went. And I don't know if this was the first. I think this was with the epidural, because I told the anesthesiologist the first time with the facet injections, and I'm pretty sure he said, "Oh, you'll be fine. The medicine that we give, you know, it'll sedate you. It's pretty strong." I felt that woman inject that stuff into my back. And then with the epidural, I told that anesthesiologist the same thing. And he says, "Okay, we'll hook you. Oh, don't worry. I'll hook you up with a double dose." And I said, "Thank you." And he gave me a double dose of two different medications that were supposed to be for twilight sedation. I'm not even going to try to guess what the names of them were. I'm sure it's in my paperwork, but I didn't write it in my notes. But anyways, so he gave me the double dose. I'm, you know, laying on like a T table, cross table, strapped down to it, because she's going to stick a needle into my spinal column and inject steroids into it to help manage my pain. Remember, I got a double dose of 2 different kinds of medication. I felt that needle go in my back. I tensed up. I felt it go in my back and I tensed up. And she says, "You need to relax. You need to calm down." I remember her telling me that. "You need to relax. You need to calm down. I'm in your spinal column. Do not move." She had like a little camera deal, x-ray deal set up. I don't know what it was. And as soon as I started feeling that liquid going in, it burned. It burned so bad. I turned my head and I screamed into the bed. And after that, in the follow-up visit, she said, "You know, there's certain people that have red hair or like red undertones to their hair that process anesthesia differently than other people, and I'm willing to bet that that's what you have going on." And I was just like, "You think?" Something's going on. I was telling you that I process anesthesia differently. And my thyroid condition probably also contributes to that. I keep looking at myself in the thing instead of at the camera, and I keep distracting myself. So I had the facet injections, I had the epidural. At that point, she had started me on gabapentin. Gabapentin is primarily used for epileptic patients, but it can also be used as a nerve blocker, and that's what she prescribed it to me for. Between the steroids that I had in February and the steroids that I had in March and the gabapentin, I gained over 70 pounds. I did not look like myself. I mean, I look at the pictures, the few pictures that I do have from that point. It's still me, but I don't recognize my own self. I gained so much weight. That drove me into even further depression, because breathing became a lot harder. Moving around became a lot harder. And that was, I weighed, I had already started losing weight at the point that I weighed myself, that I finally weighed myself. I knew this because my clothes started fitting me looser. And I weighed 238 pounds at that point, and I had already started losing weight, and this was in March of 2019. I had weaned myself off of the gabapentin, and I told the doctor, the pain specialist, that I wasn't going to take it anymore because I think at one point that I was taking it, I had a seizure. And that was because I took it that morning and I started feeling really, really weird. Like if somebody had turned up the sharpness on my eyes, and the light was like turned up too, and everything was sharper, everything was clearer, everything was brighter, I felt really weird. I sat down on my bed, and the next thing I know, I'm waking up, and it's 14 hours later. And I have no idea what happened. I read the side effects and started doing a little bit of research, and there had been reports of people experiencing seizures that hadn't ever had seizures while taking gabapentin, and I think that's what happened to me. And I told that to the doctor, and she said, well, if you don't want to continue taking it, just wean yourself off slowly. And I had already weaned myself off by that point, and I said, okay, I'll do that. And she had also prescribed tramadol, and I was taking tramadol. I've been prescribed so much stuff. Muscle relaxers, Toradol, tramadol, naproxen, ibuprofen, metaxalone, gabapentin, tramadol. I think I already said that. Jesse's Christ, I don't even remember. There was so many medications that I've tried. Ibuprofen 600, then 800. So I stopped the gabapentin, and then I started working with a really nice man. He was like a personal trainer, and he was trying to do like an online personal coaching kind of thing, and he was doing it with me for free. I gave him, he wanted to use me as like a success story, and I got a membership at the local military institute to use their swimming pool, and I went a couple of times, and it was just way too much for me. I changed my diet. I stopped eating chip Doritos and little Debbie cakes and sodas. Oh my God. My diet was really bad at that point too. I was just depressed and eating whatever I could fill my stomach with. I didn't even care about if it was healthy or not. If I felt like I was getting hungry, I would just satisfy the hunger and go back to sleep. Sometimes I didn't even eat. I wouldn't even eat for like days at a time because the pain was just too much. I didn't want to get up. I didn't even ask my kids to bring me anything to eat. I relied on them a lot. I was utterly useless at that point, and that was a hard thing to come to terms to, because I used to be so independent, and now I'm relying on my kids to feed me, to go to the store for me. My oldest. I used to carry a lot of guilt with that. I was just a completely different person. So I started losing weight, and then I was working with the personal trainer. But me with my freaking social anxiety, like when I started coming into direct contact with people and having to hold myself accountable for doing things, you know, I try to do everything that he suggested, low impact stuff. I went and took pictures at a park with my mother, and it was like generational, 4 generations pictures, and I was exhausted after that day. Whenever I used to do things like that, I would pay for it for a week. I would have to, I would be in bed for a week, sometimes 2 weeks. So that was 2019. 2019, stop the gabapentin. I think that's also when I was doing the acupuncture. Or maybe the acupuncture was in 2018. Acupuncture I had from May to August, but I don't remember what year it was. And that was an interesting experience. It was great. I loved it. I love it. She started putting needles in my body, and I started seeing colors, and I had told her that I had started seeing colors in my mind's eye whenever she put the needles in me. And she said, you know, we started like connecting like on a spiritual level. Like she started telling me about how she came into healing, into doing the acupuncture, and who she studied with, and a soul connection that she had with this man, and how he haunted her dreams, and how she had to cut the cords with him. And I would tell her about like my life stories and stuff, and she's really cool. But workers' comp and the doctor didn't feel that the acupuncture was helping me, so they stopped approving the acupuncture, and then I started getting bad again. And then winter came. I still kept my diet changed. I still kept losing weight. 2020 came. I was losing weight, but I was still in a lot of pain. Then it was my birthday. And my parents had went on a cruise or on a vacation. I think it was a vacation. But they took to tropical Mexico, some beach, and my mother contracted the C word, and I had been telling them not to go because they were going to get sick. And I had started making masks in February. I was crocheting masks in February because in like December I used to watch China South Post News or something like that, and they were talking about some mystery virus that everybody was getting sick with. And I was like, I need to start making masks. I'm not in any position, in any condition to get sick with some mystery virus that's killing people. And then so I crocheted one. And then I didn't keep making them until like March. I started making them again. And my mother got sick. She went to a hospital in Mexico. They prescribed medicine to her. She was really, really sick. And then they came back. She was still sick. And then I started feeling sick. And I was like in bed for a month. I did not leave the bed except to go to the bathroom for a month. My scalp hurt. I was coughing. I don't know if it was the C word or not, because they weren't doing the testing at that point. They hadn't, it was just barely, the pandemic had barely been announced, and our state had shut down. for the first time. That was 2020, and then around October I started experimenting with seeds. I had been watching videos on YouTube about people growing food out of scraps, and I said I cut open a lemon and I noticed that there was some really nice looking seeds in there, and I said I'm gonna give this a try, just to see if I could do it. And then they sprouted. The lemon seeds sprouted. And then I took the head of a pineapple and then I planted that and it started growing. It's dead now. I didn't, I overwatered it. But I've got 4 other ones that I've got going right now. And I also planted pomegranate seeds that I got from pomegranates at the store, and those sprouted, and I still have 4 of them right now. I started with like 12, and I still have 4 of them that are growing really big, or not really big yet, but they're bushy. And then I did a garden this year, and I'm a lot stronger than I've ever been. I still deal with pain. If I overexerted myself in the garden, I was paying for it, and I wasn't able to go to the garden for like another 4 days. And I would have to ask my kids, "Can you go water the garden for me?" You know, my little hobby, and needing help with it. But I grew food, a lot of stuff. I grew a lot of stuff. And being in the sun every day, you know, going outside, trying to be outside every day, getting fresh air, putting effort into something gave me another kind of strength, physical strength. I still have pain, but I was stronger. I was able to do stuff now. I started cooking, I started cleaning, I started doing laundry, I started moving around my furniture. Well, I wasn't moving around my furniture yet. I was doing a lot more things. But I still had the constant pain, and I still couldn't turn my head in either direction. I still couldn't turn my head in either direction. And when I would sit in the driver's seat, or on the driver's side, even in the back seat, the shape of the seat or something like hit my hip area wrong, and it would just start hurting a lot. And I couldn't, and it also made my anxiety go up, because I was feeling more pain. And then workers' comp stopped paying for my coverage back in 2020. And then I started seeing the acupuncturist again. No. I'm getting ahead of myself. So 2021, I did the garden this year. Around April, I think, I started, March or April of this year, I started, I was watching videos of hypnotism, and people quitting smoking, losing weight, using hypnotism for pain management. And I had already been looking for a therapist, and I looked for a hypnotist, and I found one local to me, and I contacted her, and she asked me what I wanted, what I was seeking her services for. And I told her, well, I have chronic pain and I want to see if hypnotism will help me. But I also have an ex that I have panic attacks when I have to talk to him or deal with him. and he used to be really abusive, and I still don't know. I need to find a way that I can talk to him so that he doesn't attack me when I talk to him. And she said, and there was something else, but I don't remember what it was. And she said, okay, well, first I'm going to tell you that we can't do the hypnotism until we address all your past trauma first. And I said, okay. So then I started working with her with all of those things. She taught me coping techniques, and told me to journal, do yoga, meditate, all that fun stuff. And so I'm seeing her, and then she recommended the acupuncturist again, and I got in touch with them and told them that I would be self-pay, as the insurance wasn't going to cover, the insurance that I have wasn't going to cover that, and the workers' comp wasn't covering me anymore. So I went to see her, and she did the needles in me, and I didn't expect for her to remember me, but I had been trying to get back in with her to see her again for like a year and a half, and they didn't want to schedule it because they couldn't get a hold of anybody in the insurance department, or the case manager or whatever wasn't returning their calls or something, so they never scheduled me for an appointment. But then they realized that I was going to be self-pay, so then they finally scheduled the appointment for me. And I went in and had the session, and while she was doing the session, I'm getting too ahead of myself again. I just looked at the clock and I realized that this is over an hour long already. I went to the acupuncturist. She started putting the needles in me. She didn't really remember who I was yet. But my legs were shaking, and she said, "Are you nervous, or is that pain?" And I looked down at my legs and I said, "Oh yeah, I'm hurting a little bit." And she said, "What level are you at right now?" And I said, "About a 4 or 5. And she said, "And your legs are shaking like that?" And I said, "Like a 6 or a 7. And she said, "That sounds more like it." And I always minimize my pain. I always downplay it. I never like to admit how, I don't know, it's just a defense mechanism probably. But she gets me on the table. She starts putting the needles in, and she starts getting towards like the last 3 or 4. And you know, my face is down on the table, and I start seeing colors again. And I'm like, yes. And then the last needle. And I promise you, my crown, the top of my head was just tingling, and I started astral projecting. Like, I felt my body, my brain leaving my body. And I'm just like, whoa, oh my God. And then a person from my past popped into my head, and I started feeling these intense emotions. And I was like swimming in those emotions. And then a thought came to me, and I said, oh, I wonder what'll happen if I start thinking about my kids. And I started thinking about them one by one. And it was like the oxytocin rush whenever you give birth. It was that intense. So then I started meditating like even deeper, like with more intention. And then I visualized my hip, the big black spot that's on the MRIs. I visualized that, and I put a blue, bright blue healing white light on that area. And then that pain started subsiding. And then my lower back started hurting. So then I started concentrating on my lower back, and that started subsiding. And I'm just visualizing all of these different areas of my body where it hurts, and putting a blue light, a healing light. And the whole time I feel like the way I described it was like a warm rain hitting your skin, but it was microscopic rain drops hitting your skin, and it's from the inside out, and it's warm and tingly. It was like my skin was electric and warm. My whole body, all of my skin was electric and warm. And then she came back in the room, and then she asked me, she said, you still have a few more minutes to go. I just wanted to come in and check on you, make sure you're doing okay. And I said, yes, I'm amazing. I saw the colors. And she said, oh my God, the colors. And then I know that's when it clicked in her head who I was. She said, I haven't heard anybody mention the colors in years. And she said, I knew I remembered you from somewhere. And I said, yes, the colors. And that was just an amazing experience. And then she came back in, and she started taking all the needles out. And I was telling her, like, wow, yeah, that was amazing. And I started getting emotional, and I told her, I started visualizing my kids, and I just concentrated the healing light on my hip and on my lower back. And she told me, you know I told you a couple of years ago about a chiropractor in Albuquerque that does the Atlas bone. And she said, I know another chiropractor that's closer to you in this other town, and they're really great. They're a little pricey, but they're really great, and let me give you their number. And I said, okay. And then I called, I made the appointment. I went in the first time. They took like 30 x-rays. It was intense. It was a lot. And then they said, the chiropractor that was taking the x-rays, well, no wonder she's got headaches. No wonder she's like that. No wonder she's, you know. And the next time I went in, like 2 weeks later, they adjusted, they made the initial adjustments, and I promise you, it was a miracle. It was like a miracle. I'm getting emotional again. Holy shit. I started off like barely being able to turn my head like this far, like my chin to here, and then this one like a little further to here. And the doctor told me, turn your head to the left, turn your head to the right. And he had me lay down on the table on my side, and he adjusted the little head part higher up so that, anyways, he put his fingers like right here behind my ear somewhere. And then he said, you're going to feel the table. I'm going to push on your head, but your head is going to drop with the table, but it's not going to drop all the way. So don't get scared. Don't tense up. Just stay relaxed. And I said, okay. And then he did the adjustment. And then I sat back up, and he says, you're going to start feeling dizzy. Be aware of that. You're going to start having different neurological symptoms. Be aware of that. And he said, turn your head to the left. And I was able to turn it. And I started getting emotional because I hadn't been able to turn my head that far in forever. And then before they even started, he said, what I'm going to do, the first doctor said, what I'm going to do to you is going to hurt more. This is going to be the worst part of it. So and I was just like, I'm ready. Let's do this. And he said, do you have any questions? And I said, I'm a little nervous, but I'm ready. I'm excited. And he says, okay, are you ready? And I said, yes. And so he did his massage gun thing, and he was like manipulating different bones areas and stuff. And then I went to the next, and like I was already feeling better. He gave me a lift for my shoe because they figured out how they figured out how much shorter my left leg is than my right leg. So they gave me a lift to fix that. They gave me a belt to wear 24 hours a day, except for when I take a shower. And told me to roll up a towel and put it on my side, and if I could adjust my back 15%, that it would reduce the majority of my pain. And so I went like on a Thursday, I believe. And then I had my session with my therapist. And I told her that I had been to the other town and had the procedure done, and that I was feeling a whole lot better, like a completely different person. And then she said, okay, well, remember to ask your doctor about physical therapy. And I've been trying to get physical therapy again, and she keeps urging it. And she wanted me to try to sign up for driving school so that I could work with somebody to tell me if I was safe to drive or not. And that had been our next goal, because I got over the abusive ex. I can deal with him a lot better. I put up boundaries and I enforce them. And he's gradually starting to respect those boundaries a little more, but he still has moments where he tries to... I don't let him. I cut the conversation. I shut it down before... He still gets insults in, but they don't affect me, and I just shut down the conversation right away. But she hypnotized me finally, and the next goal was for me to try to work with a driving instructor. I called and got information. She was gonna look through a community program to try to pay for it. Well, she had a community program that was going to pay for it. I just needed to call and set up the lessons. I went to the chiropractor in Verdoso, and it was the weekend, and it was on a Sunday. It was on a Saturday. I went and sat in the driver's side of the vehicle because I could turn my head, and I just sat in it for 20 minutes. She told me, go sit in the vehicle for 20 minutes, or like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, work it up a little bit more and more each time. And I went and sat in the car thinking, I'm only going to be here for 5 minutes. And 5 minutes passed by, and I said, no, I don't feel anything. Let's go for 10. 10 minutes passed by, and then eventually it got to 20 minutes, and I was like, what? I sat in the vehicle for 20 minutes. If I can sit in it for 20 minutes, I can drive from one end of town to the other. I can go to the store, I can go shopping, I can do blah, blah, blah. And so I'm like getting excited, I'm getting hyped up, I can turn my head, you know, my pain is getting better. I'm still having painful days, but they're nowhere near, they're a lot more manageable. My energy levels don't match up with my real energy levels don't match up with my imagined energy levels, because I just feel it inside of me. But like spiritually, I'm so energized and so ready to go and so ready to do things. But physically, my body's like, no, 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 we got to work up to that. Baby steps, baby steps. Even my son keeps telling me, because one of my lifetime goals is to open a restaurant. And I told him, ooh, boy, check it out. What if I, now that I'm driving again, I'm going to open a restaurant. And he says, what the hell? He says, baby steps, Mom, baby steps. And I said, I know. But yeah, so I've been driving now for 2 weeks. This is the end of the second week that I've been driving. And, I am exhausted at the end of every day. I'm going to bed like at 8 o'clock. Sometimes even earlier if I like really overextended myself, because my energy levels are still not up there. But this week I went and Tuesday I took my oldest to an appointment that she had. And then I spent the day with her. We went shopping, and we ate, had lunch, and then we came back home. And then the next day I was gonna take my youngest, but they wanted their sister to come along. And so I said, okay, we'll do that. And then the next day I had a dentist appointment, but it was also picture day. So I took my child to the school to do picture day because they're doing online school because of the pandemic and everything that was going on. So I took them to the school to do picture day, and then I went to run errands, pick up mail from the post office, and go to my dentist appointment. And then the baby and I went and picked up some fast food, and then took it to a park, and just spent the day together, like I had wanted to do the day before. And then Friday I took my son shopping and to lunch at the park, and we drove around looking for a barbershop to take him to, but they were all by appointment only. And so I just took him to like a Supercuts, and they did a good job. And then I dropped him off at his dad's house. But prior to that, that would have not, 3 weeks ago, that this week would not have happened. For me to have a one-on-one day with them hasn't happened in I don't even know how many years. I was relying on my parents to drive me places, and before that I was relying on my boyfriend. But then when we came back to New Mexico, he ended up going back to Colorado, and he never came back. I don't know how mutual the breakup actually was. He's another story time. So yeah, so that's been my journey so far. I lost 70 pounds, over 70 pounds. I'm now 70 pounds lighter than I was. I'm driving again. I've signed up for online school. I have a career in mind. I've got goals, life goals that I'm gonna make, that I'm gonna meet. I'm still me, but I've grown so much. I've learned so much. I've learned how to put up boundaries with people. I've learned how to love myself. I've learned how to accept and be patient with myself. I've learned how to accept my body for what it is and what it can and cannot do anymore. I'm happy. Things are getting better for me. And this is almost a completely different person from who I was in 2018 and 2019 and 2020. The second half of 2017 through 2020 were some bleak years that I thought I was never going to come out of. But I was handed a chiropractor that made all the difference in the world. A simple adjustment to my neck was all it took. And it's just all the drugs that I was injected, all the pills that I had to take, all the pain specialist had been recommending surgery. But after the epidural, she stopped recommending surgery. She said, nope, I'm not going to recommend surgery anymore. I can see why you don't want to do it. So yeah, that has been my journey so far, and expect great things from me. I am writing I'm drawing again. I'm driving. And I enrolled in school, online school. I'm going to have a career in 2022. That's already God willing, universe willing, creator willing. I'm going to make great things happen. I've already made great things happen. I feel like a living miracle, considering the darkness of night that was 2017, 2018, 2019, and part of 2020. Considering how dark those years were, I've got a long way to go. I've got so many things that I'm still gonna do. I had to pause for a minute because I had an audience that I didn't know I had. Unexpected audience. But anyways, yeah, so I guess if you made it this far, thanks for watching. This has been a summary of the past 4 years of my life, pretty much. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do a few more of these. Now that I've told the health one, I think I'm gonna do one about the abusive ex. Probably also the Colorado ex. I don't know what else I mentioned, but I'm gonna try to do some more story times. I kind of like doing these. I feel like I'm getting my truth out. There's a lot of things that have happened in my life that I haven't talked about, that I haven't cleared up, that I haven't addressed. A lot of it was put onto Facebook, and I never talked about what the truth actually was. A lot of lies were said about me, and at another point, even death was wished upon me. But let go and let God is all I can say about that. I wish them the best. Every time they pop into my head, I do a little prayer for them and send them love, because I mean, what else can you do? Not wallow in the same misery that they're in. That's for sure. Live your own life. Keep going. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you haven't heard it today, I love you. Don't forget to eat something. Don't forget to drink some water. And as always, namaste.